Okay, sige.
Are we on? Hi, everyone. It's great to have you here, and thank you for joining us. My name is Alberto Felix. You can call me Tres, Uno Dos Tres, and I am the GM of Hello PH. I want to welcome all of the resort and hotel managers, sales, and reservation officers. I'd like to thank the owners and managers for allowing their team to join us during the webinar. For those who are not from resorts and hotels, welcome also. We did invite other people to join us. This is free and open for anyone who's interested in having a calmer, more relaxed mindset. Before we start, I want to thank Thames International Business School on Calle Industria in Quezon City for letting us use their webinar equipment. We wouldn't have this amazing webinar set up if not for them. Some instructions for those on FB. Hi, everyone. You can put your comments down there, and we will try to monitor and capture any of the questions you put down there. For those on Zoom, we turned off your video and audio for now. You can use the Q&A button to send us questions. We also turned off the chat functions for now. But during the talk, we will turn it on for when we ask you for some answers or comments during the talk. Okay, let's start. Ms. Diane, if you don't mind putting the flyer up. So we all know how challenging this COVID disruption is for the travel and tourism industries. But it's not just our industries. This COVID has really affected everyone. It is normal that sometimes our emotions will get the better of us. Sometimes we might feel hurt because of this COVID. Sometimes we might feel defeated. And sometimes we might feel stressed. So today, let's deal with the reactions we might have because of COVID. COVID is not going to go away, so let's practice. Let's learn how to deal with it. Our talk today is clearing the way for possibilities and resilience, thriving amidst turbulence. Allow me to introduce our speaker, Dr. Joanna Herrera. She is PSYD, meaning she has a doctoral degree in psychology from the Wright Institute, Berkeley, California. She's also RPSY, meaning she's a registered psychologist. She has a license both in California and in the Philippines. Dr. Joanna has lived and worked in the States for 12 years, and in coming back to the Philippines, one of the things that she did is that she co-founded and is executive director of Circle of Hope. They are an organization that seeks to provide mental health access to marginalized communities. So without further ado, let us welcome Dr. Joanna Herrera. Welcome, Dr. Joanna.
Hi, thank you so much. Third, can you hear me? Is my audio okay? I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, it's good. I hope I was okay earlier.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I always welcome the opportunity to be of service, very particularly at this time, whenever there's an opportunity to, to share with people things that can help them cope and thrive in these really difficult times. I really, really welcome it. And although we can't see each other right now, those people who are watching and participating today, I just want to tell you my heart and mind is with you. I know we're trying to cross the divide of virtual reality, but our human connection is strong, and we're here gathered as a community. Hi, so third, should we start?
Yes, if you can.
Okay. So I'm just going to share my screen so I can start sharing with you what we have for today. Hold on. I hope you can see that. Because this is particularly for our brothers and sisters in the tourism industry. Most of the pictures I'm sharing in the slide today are pictures from my travels. So this is my way of connecting with you and being with you. These are very, very hard times for your industry. I know I am not a magician. I am not here to clear out all the things that are challenging and difficult. But I'm here to be with you so that hopefully together we can tap into the very best of our human capacities that allow us to adapt, evolve, and to thrive. So I just wanted to start with this. This quote has really been inspiring me a lot, and it's been grounding me a lot these past few months. I've also been, like most of you, quarantined for the past 3.5 or 4 months. So Viktor Frankl is a psychiatrist. I loved his book, The Search for Meaning. I've been reading it since, college and all through these years. He's a Holocaust survivor. So the Holocaust was a time when Hitler was trying to eradicate the Jews from the face of the earth. And Viktor Frankl is one of the survivors of the Holocaust. He was, he lived in a concentration camp for some time during this period. And after that, he wrote a book called The Man's Search for Meaning. And Viktor Frankl says this: Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So, what is it that's inspiring me about this that I would like to, really heartfully share with everyone? It's that we recognize that there are so many external circumstances we never imagined we would deal with. All of a sudden, abruptly, our life has changed. The New York governor, Andrew Cuomo, described it as our reality is really like a snow globe that was shaken up vigorously. And, everything, all the sediments are up, and all of it is overwhelming. But in the end, what is external reality is not the final frontier of our freedom. The final frontier of our freedom is our mind and it's our heart. And so what we're here to talk about today is how do we harness the freedom that is really inherent in being human, that has allowed us to evolve, to survive, and to thrive. It's in our consciousness. Okay? And that's what we're going to really explore, discover, and harness today. So, um, as we begin, I want to invite us into creating that gap, trying to expand that space for us to be present to ourselves and to each other. So the chat box is there, whether it's through Facebook or Zoom. I just want you to notice, how are you doing? How are you? So I want to invite you to type in, to pause, check in with yourself for a little bit. And I want you to type in 2 words that describe how you're doing or how you're feeling right now. And there's a purpose why we're asking, or I'm inviting you to put in 2 words. That's because most of the time, our feelings can't just be captured by a word. And sometimes the feelings might seem like they're conflicting, but that's okay. So go ahead. Um,
So, Dr. Joanna, let me share what I'm feeling while our attendees are trying to plug in
yeah,
the comment box.
for a third. Yeah.
So today, how I'm feeling nervous and
Mhm.
excited, because of
Yep.
the live webinar and
Yeah.
host. On a funny note, I'm feeling full from my breakfast, but I'm
Yeah.
also thinking already about lunch. So,
Yes. Yes, but it's interesting. Nervousness and excitement they seem to be very similar feelings, but, excitement feels a bit more motivating. Sometimes we can mistake nervousness for our excitement for nervousness. Nervousness takes us to a different direction, and excitement takes us to another direction. But you did a great job paying attention to both.
thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
anyone else sharing, Miss Diane, or can you please feed us some of the reactions on Facebook? Fortunately, I don't have.
So the invitation here really is for us to pause and to notice how we're feeling. That is an exercise in, claiming the space so that our minds can really pay attention to where we are. And when our minds pay real attention to where we are, it opens the door to awareness.
Okay, let me see. Well, maybe we can go at the later at the end, and again
Yeah,
when we get there,
yeah,
how do we
yeah.
feel today? So,
Let's do
how
that.
are you feeling today? Just put it in the comments. We'll get back to it later as well. We'll allow Dr. Joanna to continue with her
Yeah,
talk. You know?
yeah. So the important thing here is noticing. Okay, noticing. Um, so maybe before I start doing a presentation or giving some input, I'd like to invite us all into taking a moment to breathe. A lot of what we'll be discussing today would be some skills and some practices that help us take care of ourselves so that we can tap into a deeper source of resilience and to be able to sustain our energy for the long haul. And one way to do that is to simply breathe. It's simple because we breathe every moment, but the challenge is to pay attention, to simply pay attention to the breath. And there is no right or wrong way to do this. I simply invite you to try it. Okay? So try to put yourself or to bring yourself to a posture or a position where you feel solid and stable. So if you're seated, have your feet firmly planted on the ground. Allow your feet to touch the floor. If you're sitting, you might need to move yourself forward so that your feet are, both of your feet are touching the ground. Straighten your back so that the flow of the air will be smooth and easy. You don't have to make your body stiff, but let's take on a posture of wakefulness, of alertness, like a mountain. So sit like a mountain, dignified, solid, grounded, but with our hearts open to the sky. And we'll start with the sound of the bell. You'll hear it 3 times. You may close your eyes or just soften your gaze, whatever feels comfortable for you. This will just be a couple of minutes. Let's come home to the breath. In this practice, we're simply coming home to breathing. Breathing is something we do every moment. It keeps us alive. But in this moment, we are putting our full attention on our breath, just letting it be. Our thoughts will come and go. We might notice it, and that's okay. But we will gently bring our attention back to the breath, moment by moment. As we breathe in, simply noticing the sensation of air coming in, allowing ourselves to notice as the air enters through our nostrils, as the air grazes through the back of our throats and into our lungs. Each breath nourishing our organs, all our body parts, and all the different cells in our body. And as we exhale, we notice simply the breath releasing, being released back into our surrounding. So allow each breath to simply be a practice of taking in the air that we need and giving out air that the plants need, that the trees need. Each breath a reminder of the cycle of life that sustains us and all the whole nature that surrounds us. With each breath, as we inhale, we can allow ourselves to take in whatever we need at this moment. Maybe it's calmness, maybe it's ease, maybe it's courage, whatever you think you might need in this moment. Let the in breath, let your inhale be a reminder that you can take in what you need. And as you exhale, feel free to release whatever you need to release, whatever it is that's not helping you in the moment. Maybe tension, maybe fear, worry, maybe anger, whatever you think you want to release or let go of. Simply inviting yourself to do that, allowing each breath to be a reminder that we can give real attention to ourselves. And this is available to us anytime. So, taking in a few more cycles of breathing in and breathing out, simply allowing ourselves to be is a gift. And we can be grateful to ourselves for giving ourselves this moment of real attention. So let's come back to being present with each other. I hope
Okay,
that this,
Joanna, that was really nice.
oh, thank you.
My
Um,
nervousness has come down from that.
yeah. Well, it's, breathing gives us direct access to activating the relaxation response in our nervous system. So it really helps our body elicit the relaxation response that we need at this time. So breathing is really a very helpful practice for all of us.
And I really liked what one thing you said, no, that this is really available to us anytime because it's
Yeah,
so I just want to say thank you for that. So I'll excuse myself for that.
yeah. Stress and anxiety are words that have been, used to describe a lot of what we've been feeling these days since the pandemic, since the onset of the pandemic. And a lot of us might feel bad about ourselves for experiencing these things and for feeling really overwhelmed and sometimes stuck and feeling helpless about this. But, these are normal reactions in a very abnormal situation. So please, no self blame, no self judgment. Whatever feelings you're bringing with you in this moment, whether it's anxiety, it's feelings of overwhelm, or helplessness, or fear, or anger, grief, allow it to be just as it is. You're okay. We are okay. These are normal reactions in an abnormal situation. Over 80% of people have been feeling significantly more anxious as a result of what has been happening. That's according to Thrive Global, a global media company. And the American Psychological Association explains that when we have very little control over a threat that we're experiencing, and when the threat is new and unfamiliar, we feel more stressed and fearful, right? So we do have reason to be stressed and anxious and fearful. There are real threats out there, but also in the midst of that, there is room for us to navigate where our sphere of influence and control is. And that's what we're here to do. You know, um, it's a VUCA world. I don't know if you've heard of the term VUCA, but it became popular in the 1990s. When the Berlin Wall was put down, and the political landscape of the world changed. Um, you know, people started to say it's a VUCA world. It's there's no certain enemy, but it's a field of uncertainty. It's V stands for volatility, U is uncertainty, C is complex, and A is ambiguous. And isn't that what we're experiencing, what we have been experiencing since this pandemic began? Um, we can't predict. We don't know when it's going to be over. We don't know when the vaccine is going to be available. For a lot of businesses, it's been a very uncertain situation, and much more for you in the tourism industry. It's been a very difficult time, and so as we're navigating this very uncertain times, we can't just fall back on what's familiar, what we used to know. We are really called upon to improvise and to really band together and come together in order to navigate these extremely challenging circumstances. Um, Third, I'm just wondering if you'd like to maybe share some thoughts that reflect what stress feels like among you guys in the tourism sector. This has been a very challenging situation.
Yes, and for now in Cebu City, we're based in Cebu City, and today's headlines was Galvez telling us na parang expect na ma-extend pa yung ECQ ng Cebu City. So that is for us here in Cebu City, that is a big blow.
Yeah.
Um, I guess the other thing that also gets to us is that we're everyone in the travel tourism industry. We're preparing not to open it.
Yeah.
We're always doing that, and we're hoping that okay on the 15th or on the 30th, we'll get to open na, and then it doesn't happen. So
Right.
this whole parang when can we open? I mean,
Right.
some of the partners there, they're ready now, but they just are not yet allowed to. So I think
Right.
also one of the things that I think
Yeah.
we all are going through. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, there are many things that you're not able to control. I mean, that's very true for your industry, true for a lot of people, true for most people in our world these days. And that lack of certainty, that lack of predictability, it is stressful. It really elicits a threat response because we can't feel secure in the things that we used to be able to predict and control. And so that leads to a lot of stress reactivity. Some examples of which are feeling anxious. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to our livelihood, to our business, our sense of economic security, and then the feelings of helplessness. Like, what can we do? Is there something we can do about this? Or the drop in confidence levels. We cannot rely on the same skills or the same knowledge and expertise that we were able to competently navigate or utilize before. And the feeling of being stuck and not knowing how to move forward sometimes, and the loss of the old normal makes us feel a sense of grief, loss, sometimes depression. There's guilt about not being as productive as we were. Maybe guilt also if we feel like our circumstances are better off than other people. And anger, like anger that, why is this happening? Why do we have to deal with this situation? Right? So we all feel this. Some of us gravitate towards certain stress reactions, but most of us are feeling some form of stress reactivity or another. So stress is a reaction to a threat that is both real and imagined. So we react to something that's real. The pandemic is real. Of course, we cannot deny that. We have to face down and buckle up, to really like deal with that reality. But we also have imagined fears. Okay? So some of our stress doesn't only come from the real threat, it comes from our imagined or subjective threats. Okay? So, the pandemic could be out there, but sometimes when we get stuck with our own fears, those subjective fears, those imagined fears, can become much bigger than what the external threat actually is. And when that happens, it closes a lot of possibilities for us. So that's what happens when the stress reactivity gets the better of us. So what you see here really is kind of a simple map of, it's a complex system, but this is a simple map of how our nervous system reacts to stress. So the stress response is normal. It's something that just happens spontaneously when we even unconsciously detect a threat. Our nervous system reacts to that, and sometimes we don't even detect how our nervous system is reacting. But it's really important to become aware of that so that we can begin to course correct once we notice that our stress reaction is becoming bigger than what it needs to be. So when we are within our optimal zone, meaning we're able to, even though there's stress, we're able to manage it and use effective tools and practices to, to meet the stress. We can stay in the green zone. And the green zone is where, even though there's something stressful, we continue to be grounded, we continue to stay in the present, we continue to approach our reality and our life with a sense of curiosity and openness. And we remain connected, we're open, connected to people around us, and mindful of how we're feeling, mindful of our thoughts. Now, this is where we'd like to be. This is our zone of optimal functioning. This is our zone of being able to access our creativity and our deeper intelligence. But of course, we're not always in the green zone. It's normal to be not always in the green zone. We experience stress, and therefore, when that stress is significant, the arousal or stress arousal increases. So when we get out of the green zone, when our stressors are significant and we're not able to notice it or we're not able to effectively use our skills, we can get into the red zone. The red zone is when the threat feels big, we can get into fight or flight. So it's not bad. It's not a bad thing to be in our fight or flight mode. It means, our body is signaling us that we need to be safe. That's okay. So flight is getting anxious, getting worried, getting concerned. What's going to happen to my economic security? Of course, it's okay to be concerned about that. We can get into a fight mode. We can become angry, irritable, frustrated about the situation we can't control, and that's normal too, right? And when the stress is even bigger, we can get into our blue zone, which is a feeling of helplessness, of being trapped, of being hopeless, and sometimes shutting down and feeling depressed. Okay? So we might find ourselves in the red zone or the blue zone. The important thing is being aware of where we are so that we can really practice our awareness and really use some tools to intentionally get ourselves back to the green zone. So the main message here is, yes, we will experience stress, but we can also intentionally activate a skillful and wise way of responding to it. Okay? We can cultivate a relaxation response so that we can access our deeper creativity and intelligence, which we need in hard times. I hope that feels, uh, I hope that's clear. Okay. And one of the reasons why I've also been really taking every opportunity to, to speak to people about this is because there is a cost to anxiety and stress. We're experiencing a global health crisis, and it's been our advocacy and Circle of Hope to help people become mentally and physically resilient during these times. When we let anxiety and stress become chronic, if it becomes our way of life, our immune system will weaken, and then it's a welcome sign for pathogens to come in. So our bodies won't operate as usual. Stress really affects our bodies, and our immune system begins to struggle, and we become more vulnerable, not only to mental health issues, but also to disease. So the World Health Organization has been reminding us mental health is really part of making ourselves resilient during this time of COVID. We don't really have to be afraid of stress. Stress is essential to life. Nothing develops, nothing grows without some amount of stress. The moment we are born, there is also already some stress involved in the birth process, right? But stress can be used towards resilience. When stress is severe, prolonged, unpredictable, and we can't control it, it can lead to vulnerability. But when we are able to intentionally and actively use skills so that we can make stress a bit more predictable, more moderate, more controllable, we can redirect stress towards resilience. So stress can be material that helps us develop our inner capacity for resilience. So, really, the problem is not the stress, but our reaction to stress. So, for us who are missing the ocean, the sea, um, I love sharing this quote. We can't stop the waves. I mean, we can't stop the pandemic, but we can learn to surf. Okay? By using our mindfulness and by using different skills, we can learn to surf the waves of our emotions, of our fear, of our anger, of our helplessness and hopelessness. So, what I will be sharing with you next is how can we use mindfulness as the surfboard in riding these difficult waves of emotion that we experience during this time. So third, um, I hope we're okay with our pace, and I'm just wondering if there are things that you'd like to comment on from the perspective of being in the industry where you are a part of.
Yes, well, as in your previous slide kasi, there's that parang how the stress can be predictable, as you said,
Yeah,
then there's the unpredictable, and I like
yeah,
how you keep on telling us that stress is normal because for me parang there's some misconceptions kasi about stress eh.
right.
So for me parang one of the biggest misconception which I finally learned that was a misconception was that
Mm.
sometimes we I felt that there's something wrong with me if I felt stressed. So
Yeah,
that it then it leads to I'm worried if people will look down at me or will
Yeah.
worried about me because they know I'm stressed,
Yeah.
and then that leads naman to hiding my stress.
Yeah.
And and to be honest, I mean, that's you don't need to do that. um,
Yeah.
uh, I realized that the more that you know it's normal, and I think it was really normal for everyone else once you start sharing.
Yeah.
I think you see that with so
It
that's,
normalizes it. Yeah.
that's my parang let's not there's this. I like how you're reminding us, no, stress is normal, and it will come, and so you just learn how to surf it. You know?
Thank you so much, Third, for bringing that up. I mean, even as a psychologist and as a mindfulness practitioner and teacher, of course, I experience stress every day. And there was even a time, like, a few weeks into the lockdown, and at some points, I experienced an anxiety attack, and I misinterpreted a body signal as, oh, I'm having a heart attack or I'm having a stroke, and, take me to the hospital. So, of course, trying to surf the wave of big anxieties I'm having about this health situation. So, um, experiencing stress or stress reactivity doesn't make us bad. It doesn't make us weak. Um, the only thing we need to be aware of is to be, the only thing we need to do is to be aware of it. Awareness is our surfboard. We will all experience this in our lives. And the more that we reach out to others, we turn on our connection system and we enable our nervous system to get regulated through our interpersonal connection with each other. So connecting in moments of difficulty and stress is a very powerful way of coping with it. So I think the key message here is that you know, the surfboard that allows us to ride the waves of big feelings or our stress is awareness. And, one word, another word that we might use for awareness is our mindfulness. And, maybe we've heard about mindfulness and, maybe we've wondered what it is. And it's simply paying attention. Mindfulness means paying attention, but it means paying attention to what's happening in the present moment. So we're not getting carried away by the past. We're not getting carried away by the future. We are bringing ourselves back to the moment because this is the only moment we can act on. The only moment we can act on is the present. So we pay attention to the present moment in the mind, in our bodies, in our external environment. And the quality of attention is that of curiosity and kindness. So it's bringing awareness to ourselves, particularly to our emotions, without judgment, but simply noticing with curiosity. I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling very helpless about this. I'm feeling very frustrated. Allowing the emotions to be as they are, not avoiding and not clinging. When we avoid our emotions, we think that they don't act on us, but actually when we avoid them, they don't go away. They actually just control us in ways that we don't know and we're not conscious of. So we want to bring consciousness to those difficult emotions. And the way we want to do that is with kindness. So mindfulness is also a way that we become fully awake in our lives. We are not, you know, we're not like dragged. Sometimes when we have something that we're worrying about or we're angry about, sometimes the anger or the fear becomes the driver of our lives. So it pulls us to wherever it wants to take us, and we're no longer in the driver's seat of our minds. Mindfulness is about being fully awake. It's about you know being the pilot of our mind, and by being able to be the pilot of our mind, we can perceive um, the moment with more vividness, with more clarity. We peel away the layers of judgment, the layers of fear, the layers of anger, so that we can gain insight into what is possible in this moment. And that insight becomes our door for transformation and for healing. This is one of the sunflowers I took a picture of in a Camino hike back in 2017. So that's from northern Spain. So mindfulness is, it takes 1 second. It takes 1 second of conscious awareness to create space and replace our impulsive reactions with a thoughtful response. So without mindfulness, the stimulus, or let's say the stimulus can be fear or threat, I'm afraid. I'm afraid becomes a reaction. We become defensive, or we enter a tunnel vision where we only think in terms of, what we're gonna need to survive. Okay? So the stimulus leads to a reaction, and sometimes the reaction is not appropriate or not the best response to a situation. So if we get into a tunnel of fear and it makes us paralyzed, then we cannot entertain other possibilities. We cannot problem solve. We back up into a corner where we can't, our mind can't generate options. But with mindfulness, there is a stimulus. Yes, there is a fearful situation we're facing. Yes, there is unpredictability and uncertainty. And with mindfulness, we just simply pay attention to that. I am afraid. In this moment, I am experiencing fear. I'm experiencing vulnerability. I'm experiencing loss. And embracing that, embracing our emotions. But a mindful moment allows us to reflect, how am I going to access my best self at this time? Is my best self to be paralyzed? Is my best self to simply take care of my own needs? Or is my best self, to collaborate, to problem solve, to pull others in, to think with others, so that moment of mindfulness can lead to a response that opens the door to other options and possibilities. So with mindfulness, we can make a difference. And the immediate access we have to our capacity to be mindful, which is, mindfulness is an inherently human capacity. All of us have that, and instantaneously we can have that with one conscious breath. And this is why, breathing is important. Paying attention to our breath. When we are overwhelmed, it's just stopping right now. And to take one fully conscious breath that has the power to bring you to a different plane, a different dimension in your own consciousness that it unites your body with your thoughts. I am here. I am present to myself. I am present to my feelings, present to my thoughts. And although I am feeling scattered, this breath is bringing a certain sense of oneness and wholeness into this very moment. And then I am ready for my appointment with life, which never happens in the past or present. Our appointment with life is only in the present moment. And it cannot happen unless we are mindful. So breathing allows us to take hold of our mind again. So there's only one moment for us to live. It is the present moment. If we miss it, we miss our appointment with life. That's from Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Zen master and a peace activist. So, how do we practice mindfulness in everyday life? Neuroscientists like Dr. Richard Davidson, who has spent decades doing neuroimaging studies of monks who have been practicing years and years of mindfulness, these neuroscientists have discovered that when we practice mindfulness consistently, it changes our brain. Our brain begins to emit a certain kind of synergy and to work in concert with a certain, symphony that really allows us to gain full access to the power of our mind. Our creativity, our intelligence, our wisdom. We unlock what we never realize is possible. And so we have seen that. We have seen that in the brains of monks who have spent years doing mindfulness. But the good news is, studies have also shown that as little as 6 to 8 weeks of daily mindfulness practice can already make changes in our brain that alter, our brains and our well-being for the better. So, what are the practices that we can do in everyday life to equip ourselves with more lasting well being and resilience? One is just remembering to breathe, even just 30 seconds, whatever. Whatever is available to you, whatever you can start with, even just 30 seconds of mindful breathing, kind of just like what we did today. Remembering to breathe, giving yourself that moment. That's a good start, you know? And even if you find yourself getting distracted, it's okay. Just bring yourself back to the breath. Don't worry about perfection. The important thing is practice. So remembering to breathe. And even if it's just one breath or 3 breaths, if you do it intentionally and consciously, it will, it will make a difference. Another practice of mindfulness in everyday life is stopping. Stop means when you're experiencing a big reaction, a big feeling, a big emotion, stop, take a breath, observe your sensations, observe the tightness in your chest, observe the throbbing in your head, observe the shaking in your body, observe your feelings. I'm frustrated, I'm exhausted. Observe your thoughts. And then proceed with a wise action. How will I access my best self at this time? Another mindfulness practice is noticing moments of joy. Really paying attention when you're enjoying something, when you're noticing something good, really turbocharging that moment so that you reinforce that. And as we reinforce the good in our lives, it leads to our happiness and well-being. Mindful eating, stopping to really eat, to really take a moment to enjoy and savor our food without getting distracted by our gadgets, by our worries, by our projects, by our thoughts. And also deep listening. Listening to people around us, listening to friends, listening to family members, listening to ourselves with the quality of attention that is empathetic, compassionate, and deep. All of these practices lead to lasting well-being because they all enhance and use our mindfulness. I'm going to stop there and I just want to pause for for comments or maybe questions that you might have. This is the slide that shows you that mindfulness does change our brain. It changes parts of our brain so that um, you know our anxiety is decreased, With mindfulness, we have better memory and learning. With mindfulness, we improve our thinking skills and our ability to regulate our emotions and our thoughts. So, before we get into this part, um, I'm just wondering if there are any questions that we need to entertain or pause and respond to.
Let's take a look, Dr. Joanna. But it's not nice. Pause. That was there's a lot that you mentioned to us, and so let's allow ourselves to really uh, capture what she just said by pausing as well. So let's see if we can have any questions so far. I'm using a phone to, some people are looking on
Mhm.
other channels to tell us.
Yes.
Oh, there's one question. How can
Yeah.
I acknowledge my anxieties?
Yeah, it's, it's simply I've lived with a lot of anxiety for many years, and simply notice it with kind awareness. Like, simply notice the fear. An acronym that I like for noticing our feelings is RAIN. So RAIN, R is recognize the anxiety, that it's there. Recognize. A is accept that it's there. I is investigate. How is your anxiety manifesting? Is it manifesting in my thoughts? Am I having a lot of racing thoughts about what's going to happen, about these fears? Am I getting wrapped up in my fears so that I can't think of anything else, but I'm getting looped into the fear without, really without being able to solve without being able to problem solve in a creative way? Is it causing my chest to tighten? So notice how the fear is felt in the body. And then N stands for nurturing or nourishing. What can I do right now that will help me take care of this feeling? If I am feeling fearful, what will help take care of this feeling? So, not looking at fear as an enemy, but looking at fear as a friend. What is it telling me that I need? Is it telling me I need to rest? Is it telling me I need to reach out to someone who can comfort and support me? So, gently ask fear, what do you need? What do I need? And N can also stand for non identification, which means allow fear to be impermanent. Our feelings are impermanent. So we can watch our feelings like we're watching clouds in the sky. They drift away. When we notice them, they're there now, but they also drift away. So let's allow the fear to be impermanent. Thank you, third.
Okay, yeah, there are some other questions here, but I think it will be really great for the Q&A after.
Okay,
Okay,
so thank you. I think we're gonna go beyond 11 if that's all right with everyone. So
I'm good.
people can stay. So some simple everyday steps to regulate our stress reactivity. So mindfulness is our foundation. Because mindfulness is awareness, it allows us to recognize when we are in the grip of our stress reactivity, and then we can use our skills or our tools to course correct. So the first step is mind your safety. When the brain feels unsafe, so when we're not minding our safety, when we're not minding protocols of safety, of health safety, then the part of the brain that signals stress will hijack the thinking part of the brain. So we won't be able to think clearly unless we feel safe. So mind your safety. Do what you can to keep yourself safe. Structure is important. If we are working from home, or if we're if we have kids and they're staying at home, let's create a structure because that gives us a sense of predictability and certainty in the midst of a lot of things that are uncertain. So structure means having a schedule for meals, for tasks, for recreation, for exercise, for prayer, for sleep. Okay. So structure gives order, and that is a healthy thing. It leads to resilience when we're overwhelmed by stress. Self-compassion is, we've been talking about this, being mindful of our emotions, being mindful of the thoughts that we have, especially self-critical thoughts like when we blame ourselves, when we punish ourselves for not doing enough or not being enough. Relaxing, relaxing the self-critical voice so that we can make room for being kind to ourselves, making room for our emotions, holding our emotions like a baby. You know, if the baby is crying, if our emotions are crying, we don't get angry at the baby. We hold it close to our hearts so that we can help the baby experience our tenderness and our comfort. So let's be tender with ourselves. We're already experiencing hard times as it is. The next is sifting through what we can and can't control. There are a lot of things we can't control, like when will the pandemic end? We can't control that. When will restrictions ease? We can't control that. But we can control how we can be productive today, how we can be productive this week, how we can be productive in this moment. So scaling down our sphere of control into what we can do, what we're capable of, and focusing on that. Redirecting our attention to our sphere of control and really focusing, directing our energy on that. Um, if we cannot control what's going to happen this week, then scale down to a day, the hour, this moment. Okay, scale it down to what feels controllable for you. The next S is savoring. Let's actively create moments of joy and let us pause and enjoy and really take it in when something good catches our attention. That helps our brain, focus and turbocharge. It activates the reward system in our brain when we notice the good things that happen to us. And the last S is social support, reaching out for comfort and companionship and not pretending we can do it all, not pretending we're so strong we don't need others to help us out. That's really not healthy. The healthiest way to go is to reach out for support and also be there for others. So this is a practice that I invite everyone to do in this moment. We can ask ourselves, what is something I can savor? So think back to in this moment. Okay, do that in this moment. Think back to a situation, even a fleeting or a tiny moment of joy. Like maybe noticing your child smile. Or, if you have a tree outside your window, maybe noticing how comforting it is to be able to look at the tree. Whatever those simple moments are, bring something back in this moment. A moment that you savored, and just allow yourself to sink deeper into that. Third,
Again,
what's yeah,
yeah, let's everyone who's watching, on Facebook or in Zoom, why don't
yeah,
you share your savor moment? So
yes,
while you're doing that, I'll share mine, Dr. Joanne.
sure,
Okay.
sure,
The one of my, but I want to say something before that. If
yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, though. Earlier you said awareness of anxiety, and now it's savoring joy. So parang is it parang it's you're exercising ba both? Parang you're
Yes.
don't just be aware, but by
Yeah.
savoring moments, it makes us better at being aware of anxieties.
Yes. Third, kasi when we're stressed, our brains really shift into a negativity bias. So, which means that it's a scientific term for basically what it essentially means is when we're stressed, our brain becomes a Velcro for negative things. So when we get too stressed, we become a Velcro for all the things that are not happening right, and we focus on that. We fixate on that. So we want to exercise um, our Velcro mind for the good things, so
Wow.
that the Velcro can catch the good things, and then we practice our Teflon mind for the things that are not working well, so that they can just, we can notice them, but they can slide.
Ah, sige, sige. Let me share
Yeah.
my moments of joy. So I want to stick
Yeah.
things in my mind. So everyone, think about your savor moment. Um, for me, I said earlier, the past few days I'm sitting outside now doing work. We got to stay at home, but I'm noticing how blue the skies are. They're bluer. The clouds really look. You parang
Yeah.
um when the skies the way the skies look now, yung parang you only
Yeah.
see it when you go to the province. Now you don't see
Yeah.
those kinds of skies in the city. So parang
Yeah.
and then it brings me naman to parang I'm imagining how beautiful the beaches are na siguro. And I hear news that ang ganda raw, they saw so many dolphins or this type of fish,
Yeah.
so for me, that's savoring. Parang that's one of my savor moments. Uh,
That's so beautiful.
and actually, you mentioned kanina the parang that child smile. So I did not have my usual rice and egg breakfast. No, so I
Yeah.
had peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and
Yum.
it was so nice to. It's one of those comfort foods. Na you can
Mhm.
taste the guava jelly, and then the crunch of that peanut. And
Yeah.
I like crunchy peanut butter. I don't like the creamy.
Yeah. You know, third, what you shared, what you're savoring, reminds me of how, in any moment, wherever we are interconnected to the gifts of the earth. You're in your balcony, in your condo, but you're connected to sky. And somehow, sky is connected to ocean and to sea because, somehow your memory takes you to that experience. So, in the moment, all of that is becoming present to you. And your bread and your peanut butter and your guava jelly. Um, your guava jelly can't be there without the sun, without the rain, without the soil. So you're being present to all of those elements as you savor your peanut butter and jelly.
Wow. Lalim pala ng peanut butter jelly sandwich.
That's mindfulness. That
Let's
is
see if
mindfulness.
anyone is able to share, or we should just continue, or let me just check.
Yeah.
So, so if you can share your savory, joyful moment,
Mhm.
later at the Q&A, we will let Dr. Joanna continue.
Sure. So the gift of typing in your savor moments in the chat boxes, as people see them, others savor them too. So as we sink into each other's savor moments, we amplify and we multiply our savor moments with each other. So if we face down to reality, of course we're gonna realize that it's a marathon, not a sprint. We've been realizing it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's been what, almost 4 months, and we still don't know when this will end. So those people who studied resilience, they realized that the more resilient people are those who face down reality. So, for example, during the Vietnam War, those who became prisoners of war, the ones who survived it, faced the reality that they might be prisoners of war for a long time. They're not going to be liberated next week. They're not going to be, they're not going to be pulled out of this condition soon. They don't have, they don't rely on magical thinking. to change the reality. They buckle down to face reality. And the reality is that we are treading the next normal, and that this period of uncertainty and unpredictability will last for a while. So so we need to be aware that our realities have changed, and what we're on is a marathon, but it's a marathon that we can do together. So just some points for how do we thrive through the road ahead, beyond coping, beyond surviving. How do we harness our inner wisdom so that whatever it is that's cracking us open right now, which I have to say is a painful thing, and there's no going around that, that cracking also opens to something. So, what mindfulness does for us in these painful moments is that it allows us to be present to the cracking, to what's crushing and painful, but also that in that very moment, there is something that's fresh, that's being released. There's a seed of life, the seed of a new beginning that's released. So every moment, there is both the pain and the possibility. So, the wisdom for thriving through the road ahead, the 5 P's are perspective, presence, purpose, participate, possibility. Um, I'm channeling my favorite travel experience, which is walking the Camino. I've done that 2 times. And the longest day of walk has been 27 kilometers. I remember like maybe being at around 15 or 17 kilometers and being so tired because it was a hot day. And then we kind of saw where we were heading to. It was so far away and many mountains away, but we got there. So I'm channeling those moments. So P is perspective. Perspective is that simply that what we choose, the perspective that we choose to take defines how we experience reality. Our reality is not defined by what's happening outside as much as what's happening within us, because everything is filtered through our mind. So nothing exists outside of our own interpretation or our own perception. So how do we practice perspective? Again, we begin with mindfulness, and then we check the facts. Are my assumptions right? What's the basis of my fear? What's the basis of my hopelessness or helplessness? Um, what facts? What are the facts of this situation? Sometimes we might misinterpret the facts, or maybe we're not looking at the whole picture or the bigger picture. We're only looking at a part of it. Sometimes if we are stuck in fear, we might get into a tunnel vision, because fear literally shuts down our capacity to perceive and to think. It becomes, just really very focused on what we can do to survive and to in the moment, but we lose our options. It kind of limits our problem solving and our creativity. And the what new beginnings can we is hidden or is contained in this moment. Okay, so that's perspective. The next P is presence. This pandemic is a crucible moment, meaning it's unimaginably hard, and it's like really going through fire, but fire also reveals to us our strengths. And one of the strengths that we can reveal to ourselves and to others is how we can be open and kind and accepting to ourselves and to other people. So our past, our old normal, might not even have been our best self if we were living in habitual reactions of shutting others down or shutting ourselves down or not really paying attention to ourselves and others. That wasn't our best self and that wasn't our best life. So perhaps there's even a way that this next normal, scary as it is, might be actually a door or a passageway to, a better self, a better life as we open ourselves to kindness, to acceptance, embracing moments of compassion that we can give to ourselves and the people around us. So, intentionally nurturing our connections with each other, allowing a deep sense of caring to grow, that is a gift. Hafiz, a Sufi poet, said, when all is said and done, our desires will be distilled to two things: to love more and to be happy. And, connection to others, interpersonal gifts of compassion are important in happiness. The next P is participate. So, research suggests that when we recognize our common humanity, when we show compassion, when we become part of a bigger, a bigger, a greater good, a bigger community that's working to solve problems together, we're able to, you know, to solve issues that are complex. Collaboration allows us to solve problems that are complex. Helping or assisting others empowers us to overcome the gravity of our helplessness and hopelessness. And as we take part in positive collective action, it increases our resilience and our well being. Generosity is a marker of a resilient and happy brain. So, as an industry, how can we ignite participation? You know, um, it's not about competition, really. In Darwin has been misinterpreted. It's not about competition so that the fittest can survive. What Darwin really observed was a sense of cooperation among human beings is what has enabled us to thrive and evolve as a very resilient species. And you know, so acting with a sense of togetherness and collaboration is really important in our evolution. The next P is purpose. Crisis points can become turning points, but we have to dare to look within and to kind of peel through the layers of what we think is important to us, but we might have been living on the surface level of our lives. How do we take this moment to ground our choices and actions in what truly matters to us? So instead of merely reacting to external circumstances, we have to consciously connect with our intention, with our deeper purpose. Okay. Why am I really doing this? And what's my reason for living? What's my reason for being alive? What's a deeper purpose for my work? What's my deeper purpose for wanting to bring travel and adventure into the lives of other people? Um, yeah, this. Thank you, Lei, for connecting with my Camino experience. I haven't done the Japanese Camino, but I was planning to do that next year. I hope I can. Um, the next P is possibility. Sorry, that's our last P. We can only fuel our efforts if we have the faith, the vision, and imagination to get to our desired destination. But in order to be open to possibility, we have to be brave in accepting that sometimes we don't know. We have to reclaim our don't know mind. We don't know everything. And this pandemic shows us that, yeah, we've probably mastered a lot of things, but here is something we don't know. And we don't have to know. So, by accepting what we don't know, we can be more open and curious, not just with ourselves, but with other people. How are we going to figure this out? And is there a way we can figure this out together? Like, yes, people are not traveling right now. I'm very sad about that, but how can we together as an industry connect people to a sense of adventure that they might not be able to, maybe they can't physically travel right now, but how can we help people not forget their desire to travel, their desire to explore? You in the travel industry, you are holders of our dreams. And I'm feeling tearful at this moment because I love to travel and I feel a lot of loss about not being able to do that. But you guys, I look at you as advocates for our freedom to journey, to travel, and to explore, and that we will never abandon those dreams. And how can you, as an industry, remind us of that? That we should not forget. Okay, how can we be creative and not forgetting that? So while the temptation might be to focus on fear, to focus on what we can't do, to focus on closures, we can redirect our attention to cultivate a mindset that sees possibilities beyond problems. So, how are we going to do that? How are you going to do that as an industry that can work together and in a way that's collaborative and synergistic? Exploring, journeying, traveling, it's a beautiful dream to hold. I hope that you will help us hold on to those dreams as we move forward. Everything we face is a new beginning. This is from Guogu. He's a Zen teacher, and I listened to him last week, and I was just, something that he said opened things for me, and I wanted to share it with you. Everything we face is a new beginning, everything fresh. When we use our mindfulness to, look at this present moment, when we engage with others and the world, we see what can be done, what needs to be done. And because we are connected to everything and everyone, there are opportunities. So I want to end with that. I just hope that there's something here that will take you to a next step that feels more open, that feels more alive, that feels wiser. I again, I open my heart and my mind to you. This is an offering to this community, an offering of what has strengthened me through these times. And I hope that it does the same for you. Thank you, Third, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joanna. I guys, she just gave us a challenge. She asked us, you know, how will we keep her dreams of this traveling and journeying around, even if we're here stuck in our rooms or in our offices. So I think that is a really good challenge. But I was going to give my own example. I said, no, mas maganda yung challenge ni Doc. So it's a challenge for all of us in travel and tourism. That enthusiasm. How can we really, revive and spark that beauty and dreaming of travel to everyone else, to the community, to the whole world. That's our job. No, so let's figure out and have our own innovations and with the galing with Doc, all of your exercises, recommended things to do, really will, I think it, my mind is just so active suddenly
Mhm.
how to deal with this or what can we do as a travel tour
Yeah.
uh, industry. So
Yeah.
guys, you make use of this. Now we'll keep this post live so you can go back to it. But go back because I think there's a lot of it. So Dr. Joanna, thank you very much. So I guess we should move to the Q&A.
Yes.
So, um, okay, I just want to share that somebody shared their savor moment.
Mm.
So, uh,
Yes.
anonymous savor moment, jumping up and down and shouting from the rooftop every time I receive good news.
I
So
love that. Oh, thank you for sharing that.
it's a nice sharing. Miss Diane, please turn on the chat functions for the attendees as well, so they can also put any. So
Yeah.
those attending or now watching, please send us your questions now. It will be fed to us. Okay, so yeah, thank you for sharing your savor moment. That's great, actually. I wish I had a rooftop also.
The brain loves movement, so keep jumping.
Okay, okay. So try that later. Um, okay, so during the seminar, the webinar, there was a few questions also. Um, this is a nice one. So, being aware, I think this is a question about being aware.
Yeah.
Um, from Anonymous also, how is it that you are asking yourself to stop thinking about it? I'm assuming that anxiety or stressful feeling,
Yeah.
no? You don't want to be thinking about it, but it's now the only thing you're thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you
Agree.
do that nga naman?
That's
Uh,
a great observation. The same as something similar to the anxiety that we dealt with earlier. What mindfulness allows us to do is to hold our thoughts and emotions as an impermanent reality because they are. So watch your thoughts, not by pushing them away. So gently watch your thoughts, like use your awareness to be like a window where your thoughts can walk away. When you're watching a window, someone walks and then you see them for a moment and then you don't see them. Thoughts by nature are really like that. So when you notice that you're aware without really pushing away the thoughts, but gently being aware, recognizing, oh, that's my worry. That's a thought. Over time, you will relax your clenching. You will relax the clenching. The clenching is habitual. That was a habit that was built over time. So by allowing your awareness to be gentle on that thought, just simply noticing, letting it be, and allowing it to walk away, you are learning a habit of gently noticing the thought. And when you do that, they're freer to come and go.
Dr. Joanna, is that similar to what you said earlier now? Parang you were inviting us to be curious.
Yeah,
Be curious about your emotions.
yeah,
That,
yeah,
that parang,
yeah,
uy, ito pala yung uh, anger or ito pala yung stress or wait
yeah,
pala this is like enjoying something good.
yeah,
Curious.
yes,
I think maybe that's
yes,
one way. I like
yes, yes. Earlier, well, last week I had to experience or notice my feelings of loss and grief. I was saying goodbye to something that was familiar to me because I'm transitioning. And then I saw the image of a sailboat that pulled out its anchors, it's sailing away. So of course I feel sad. I feel sad because something familiar is gone. But I noticed that, oh, I'm also in the middle of a new adventure, in the middle of a new beginning. So something like that. We invite ourselves to be present to what we're feeling so that we can, open our awareness to all that's possible.
Okay, so I know it's 11:30, everyone. I guess we should just do one more question,
Sure.
everyone. Now there are a few more questions here. We will get back to you na lang. Uh, and because there's some of them are good questions, but we just have to stick with one last na lang. Um, okay. So this one is a good one to end.
Mm.
Basically, they're asking about like, think now that you're telling all of this, where can we go next? Where can we learn more? So basically, can you suggest some material, books, or
Yeah.
articles related to mindfulness?
Yes. So Circle of Hope hosts a virtual community mindfulness practice right now until next week. It's at 12 noon to 12:30. We offer that for free. I teach that alternately with Ms. Tucci Reyes, who is a certified mindfulness teacher. So hop in. That's for free. But come July 13, we will change it to 6 to 6:30 p.m. But it's still for free because we just want to offer, this mindful community to everyone who wants it. And you can, for more information, go to our Facebook page, circleofhope.mm. And also for more resources on mindfulness practices and the science of mindfulness, you can go to Let's Thrive Together. It's a website that I put together at the beginning of the pandemic just to pool resources for people that you can access, to help us through this.
Excellent. So there are more resources. I also went through the site. There are other more material to be read there. So let me just double check na lang, no? If there's any, there might be a. Okay, so I think we should we'll end it now. The other questions that we have, we will get back to you. Um, if you guys have Thames International Business School for their webinar equipment, Miss Diane and Lay helping us in the back end there, so thank you. Also, your support staff there, Dr. Joanna, thank
Thank
you.
you, Micah and Mika from Circle of Hope.
Okay, and also thank you to my staff, okay, Miss Chang, Georgia, Rachel, watching the Facebook, monitoring the Facebook page. Okay, and lastly, I'd like to now thank all of you who attended and spent your time with us. So starting today, let's all practice what Dr. Joanna has taught us so we can clear our minds of stressful reactions. So there'll be space to allow all of the possibilities and solutions to fill our minds. Okay, so everyone, stay safe, take care, tuloy pa rin tayo. Goodbye everyone and have a great day.
Hi,